In true crime news, a mom who decided that she would like to go to the bar and drink cocktails instead of supervising her 7-year-old who wanted to go to the hotel pool has been indicted for the drowning death of the 7-year-old. So mom over here is like, okay, honey, you go to the pool and you play, and I'm going to sit here at the bar and drink cocktails. And it didn't end well with the 7-year-old drowning. So she's been indicted for the drowning death because, unsurprisingly, parents do have an affirmative duty when it comes to their children. So, perhaps a bit irresponsible. Let's learn more about this case. Erica Bays was arrested on Monday, 2 weeks after her daughter died on May the 1st of 2023 in relation to the incident which had occurred January 13th, 2022. So this kid had been on life support for more than a year in the hospital and finally succumbed to her injuries on May the 1st. So the government was watching and waiting to see what happened. And now that the child has died, on May 1st, they decided to indict for the murder. So she was initially arrested, of course, but then they decided to wait for charges to see what would happen. And what happened is death. So they've decided to indict for the murder. According to the Suffolk County District Attorney, the child's heart stopped after the little girl was left unattended, causing the irreversible brain damage. And on May 1st, the daughter became septic and passed away. She had been dependent on a ventilator and feeding tube and had been in the care of a long-term facility in relation to that. So, yeah, that's sad on every possible level, right? This child was just left suffering for almost a year and a half, on this ventilator, but finally passed away. And they say, okay, well, the injury occurred in relation to the incident. Now, for what it's worth, as a matter of common law, just as long as we're doing some legal education along the way, as a matter of common law, you could only charge murder if the death occurred within a year and a day of the underlying injury. I know, these little facets of law that we like to know. So on common law, the death had to occur within a year and a day of the injury. Unsurprisingly, many states have modified this law because in the modern era, it's a lot easier to figure out what someone died of, and also a lot easier to keep them alive for longer periods of time. So this old common law rule has been abrogated in many states, including New York. So now you can charge the death, but you couldn't at common law. So there's a little change for you. Authorities allege that the woman was staying at the hotel with her boyfriend, her daughter, and 5-month-old son. In the afternoon, while her boyfriend was still at work, she allegedly left the girl by herself inside the pool gates and got some food and drink at the hotel rather than watching her children. So, okay. Prosecutors claim that she was warned by hotel staff not to leave her daughter by the pool, but did so anyway, which incidentally, you should know implicitly, but you were apparently warned on top of it. Authorities further allege the mother left the 5-month-old son in a hotel room by himself as she consumed at least 2 alcoholic beverages and ate at the hotel bar. Doesn't seem like the most responsible parenting I've ever heard of in my life, to be honest. At approximately 3:30 p.m., the woman asked hotel staff to open the pool gate for the indoor pool. Hotel staff advised the woman that she's required to be present with her daughter since there was no lifeguard. She allegedly left the daughter playing inside the pool alone as she sat at the bar, eating and drinking an alcoholic cocktail. After approximately 30 minutes, she returned to the pool to check on her daughter, who was still unsupervised, and then allegedly left her daughter for a second time. She then went upstairs to her room where a 5-month-old was staying unsupervised before returning to the bar for a second alcoholic cocktail. So apparently we're just doing a little spot checking in between drinks. The defendant allegedly did not return to check on her again for 30 minutes. So we'll just check on you every 30 minutes because you can't drown within 30 minutes, don't you know? It's not possible to drown within 30 minutes. That's too short a time to drown in. Prosecutors also suggest the woman was more concerned about breaking her phone and preventing her socks and shoes from getting wet than diving right into the pool, because apparently when she returned and observed her child was floating lifeless inside the pool, She removed her socks and shoes and set aside her phone before removing her daughter from the pool. Wow. So she comes to the pool and sees her lifeless daughter floating in the pool and says, I have to take off my socks and shoes first. I'm surprised she didn't wait 30 minutes after eating, this woman, because she had just been drinking in the hotel bar. And she's like, oh, I've consumed food. I can't go into the pool for 30 minutes. I'll just sit by and wait. I'm surprised that's not what we're doing over here. The indictment charges her with second-degree manslaughter and 2 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. She is accused of recklessly causing the death, a felony that would carry up to 15 years, by knowingly acting in a manner likely to cause injury to the physical, mental, or moral welfare of a child. Prosecutors say she's being held without bail, which is a weird surprise when it comes to New York. I mean, I'm surprised she's not out on, cashless bail, but apparently no bail somehow. Not sure how that happened, but that's where we are. The alleged actions of the defendant were selfless, senseless, and heartless, the Suffolk County DA said. We're going to do everything we can to ensure justice is served, whose short life was cut into too soon. Thus, that brings us to the end of a tale of a woman who, in a New York Marriott, decided to leave both her 5-month-old and her 7-year-old unattended. The 5-month-old was in the room. The 7-year-old was by the indoor pool. She was doing drinks, but it's okay. Every 30 minutes, she's doing a rotation check. So she went to check on her daughter and went to check on her child in the hotel room. And they were both fine. And then 30 minutes later, checked again. Not so much with the doing fine this time around. But she took off her socks and shoes and her phone before removing her child from the pool. The child languished for almost 1.5 years before dying. And now dead, the prosecution has charged the manslaughter for the reckless endangerment by leaving the child alone, who has died from their injuries. So a very, very sad tale of a very, very selfish woman. And that, for the moment, brings us to the end of discussion of this story.